Hi everyone, welcome to Ethernal Realms and welcome to the month ahead astrology reading. Make sure you check your sun, moon, and rising signs for a comprehensive view of the month. Additionally, I would recommend watching the tarot reading of the month ahead to get a different perspective. While you will know the astrology in advance through this session, I will also send you a reminder when the astrological events are near. All you have to do is subscribe, hit the bell, and you will be notified as the events occur through my community page. I occasionally post behind the scenes, meditation guidance, quizzes, and polls, which you can check out for yourself. And it goes without saying that you will be notified when new videos are out, such as other zodiac readings and pick a card tarot readings as well. If you prefer to cut down the guesswork about your month ahead, you can always connect with me via Etsy to get a personalized week-by-week month ahead tarot reading paired with the general astrology. Enough about me, let's talk about you. So let's talk a little bit about the overview of the month first. We have two full moons this month. One on the 1st of August is a full moon in Aquarius, and on the 31st we have a full moon in Pisces. On the 16th, we have a new moon in Leo, so lots of lunar events occurring this month compared to the previous ones. Other interesting things is that Mercury is going to go retrograde in one of its home signs, Virgo, and the shadow period for that is going to start on the 3rd of August, and the retrograde itself occurs on the 23rd of August. The zodiac sign moves from Leo season to Virgo season, also on the 23rd, and Mars is changing signs from Virgo to Libra on the 27th. Apart from that, we have Uranus in Taurus going retrograde as well. And keep in mind, Venus is still retrograde at this time, and so is Neptune, even Saturn. So we have lots of planets going retrograde. Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, Venus as well. Okay, so lots of retros. Okay, let's get into it and see what this means. So on the 1st of August, we have a full moon occurring in your 4th house of Aquarius, and the sun is going to be in Leo, and this falls in your 10th house. So we have a 4th, 10th house opposition, which talks about finding a new balance. It can be a phase of completion or release, or even pivot with something connected with your home and family environment, or connected to your workspace. So how can you find more balance between what you do for the world connected to your ambitions and profession, and what could you be doing for yourself or your loved ones? That's going to come up. On the same day, we have a trine aspect, which is a harmonious aspect between Mars in Virgo with Jupiter in Taurus. And Mars will be in your 11th house and Jupiter falls in your 7th house. So this can be quite a social time for you, perhaps getting more clients or connecting with friends and collaborating, broadening your network, things of that nature that are going to be quite beneficial to you because all of this connects at a nice angle to your Scorpio house. Next day, we have an opposition between Mercury and Virgo with Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn is retrograde at this time. So this is once again about finding balance or moderation because it's an opposition, and this falls in your 5th and 7th houses. 5th and 11th houses. And this can be talking about you looking at various networking strategies, maybe new communities that you want to connect with or trying to make new friends. But at the same time, you might be conscious about how you are presenting, like what hobbies do you share with them, or, what is your style of expression or creativity, and whether or not that is going to blend with the new community you're trying to connect with. Because Saturn is retrograde, this talks about some type of restructuring. So you might be recognizing you're feeling stuck in certain regards. For example, I wish I could swim or something because Pisces, but I'm not able to. But this retrograde phase then asks you to make a change, and the restructuring part of it just encourages you to just kind of try something different, and therefore connect with different types of people or have a different mindset about it. On the 3rd, Mercury enters shadow zone. It is about to go retrograde on the 23rd. So whatever happens between 3rd and 23rd, take note of those things, especially what happens within your friendship circle or things connected with your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And the general advice applies. Back up your information and data. There can be things that are needed at random times, or some friends might ask for information and you might just get very busy around this time. So kind of have things ready. Okay. Apart from that, of course, double check what you are trying to say or publish or things like that. So from your side, take precautionary measures, and in the form of appointments or scheduling, give some gap between tasks, especially like big meetings or commute time, because Mercury is pretty strong in Virgo, and it can create some visible or external type of glitches, basically. Okay, on the 7th, we have a square between the Sun in Leo in your 10th house with Jupiter in Taurus in your 7th house. So once again, this can be that you have lots of focus or ambition and high drive in this time. That can be getting in the way of your relationship life, such as your love relationships or any one-to-one commitments that you might have around this time. But it can also be that other people are needing your guidance and they just have to have the guidance at this time. So you might feel a little bit stressed because you have to focus a lot at the workspace, even if you want to be doing other things around this time. On the 9th, we have another square aspect between the same houses, but the planets are different. We have Venus, who is retrograde in the sign of Leo, and Uranus in your 7th house in Taurus. So this again talks about you want to change your ambitions, or you're having a bit of a rethink about what goals or successes mean to you, how you want to show up in the world, what's the status you're looking for. Maybe there are some creative changes that you are craving in your workspace or in your lifestyle. And with the square here, with the sudden burst of people coming in, or activity with your partners that you have to kind of be a part of, even if you want to be by yourself, trying to solve stuff by yourself. So yes, additional responsibilities or surprise occurrences connected with others that can take your attention away towards that. Okay, then the same day we have another square with Pluto in Capricorn, who's retrograde, with the North Node in Aries. And this falls in your 3rd house and 6th house. Okay, so there can again be, this also is an indicator basically that there can be more work because the North Node is in the 6th house. And also at the same time, I think you're trying to balance your lifestyle and your health, the diets and all of that. So, you're putting, there is that desire to keep growing that, but at the same time you might have like orders to get to or conversations to answer, maybe some places to go, so your time is kind of getting stuck over there. So you're like, oh, I was just about getting ambitious, I was going to persevere, but then now we have this block over here. But now, because we have this set of squares, I'm also going to mention that the way to deal with it as best that we can given the circumstances would be to pay attention on both sides of the square. And you might think, well, that's a lot of houses to be focusing on. It feels that way, yes, and at the end of the day you are still likely going to be exhausted, depending on the degree of activity, of course. But even so, if you are focusing on both sides anyway, you just feel much more fulfilled at the end of the day, quite honestly, because the energy is going to be there no matter what. Like, we can remove it with frustration and anger and just getting irritated, or we can just channel it and get into action, because honestly that's what the squares are trying to do. There are short bursts of energy that just like pushes us, like, this is something you don't like, or this is something you like, go for it, things like that. They're short bursts of energy, and sometimes we just don't know how to handle it. So yes. Okay, next day on the 10th, we have a favorable aspect, much needed resolution, between Mercury in Virgo with Jupiter in Taurus. So this is an earth sign trine again, and we had this on the 1st for you, but at that time it was Mars and Jupiter, and now it is Mercury and Jupiter. So this again can talk about increased good communication with your friendship circle, maybe learning some tips and getting some advice or guidance from them based on their experiences. But it can also just be like a discussion that you're having with your friends and other loved ones close relationships, that makes you feel quite fulfilled with the people you're surrounding yourself with. This can also indicate that some conversations that you have with a colleague or a part of a distant network, it's quite pleasant or revealing, and kind of enhances the knowledge or experience of both of you. So then you choose to kind of expand the connection on a more personal basis as well. So nice for making friends too. On the 13th, we have the Sun conjoining with Venus, and Venus is retrograde in Leo. So this once again puts, wherever the Sun goes, basically there is illumination, and because the Sun is in Leo, it's like ultra bright, it's in its home sign. So whatever Venus has been trying to create, there can be some additional pieces of information, knowledge, or awareness that comes to light around this time. So you might be feeling like, I don't know, do I like this? Do I not like this? I don't know. I'm gonna just try something here, see if it works. But at the same time, if it doesn't work, it can feel a little bit like, I don't know what to do with this information. It doesn't help me, right? So with the Sun coming here, it's a lot clearer comparatively, even though Venus is still retro, that there are certain things we absolutely don't want and certain things we absolutely do want. So take note of these things as well. By the way, the previous aspect that I mentioned, the trine thing, I only gave the friendship example, but it also extends with like your social media network and just growing your network in general. Okay. Okay, now back to 16th. All right, we have a new moon in the sign of Leo on the 16th, and there is a square with Uranus, but surrounding the square, there's lots of favorable aspects, such as it is loosely trining the North Node in Aries. It is also loosely trining Chiron in also Aries. So it is very healing and expansive. So I'm guessing that, not guessing, it's literally more likely that it is going to be one of breakthroughs. Now keep in mind though, it's a new moon, and although it has lots of new potential and exciting new adventures waiting for us and all of that, it still is a new moon. It lacks experience, okay? And because it is squaring with Uranus, there might be this tendency to go into something head first or not think about the possible risks. Maybe you're at a point where, you just don't care about the risks anymore. Sure, that can be a consequence of this whole aspect for sure. But if you're someone who thinks that this is something to be careful about, and on this particular day, you're choosing to be reckless, then maybe think about it once more, because it's a square aspect. And yes, it can signify breakthroughs, but it can also signify breakdowns or riskiness and maybe missed steps, okay? Whether or not you think or not think, there is still going to be some action that is initiated around this time, which is connected to your career. And this can impact the type of clients that you bring in, the types of relationships you're forming, who you are partnering with, who you are collaborating with, and even in some cases, your relationship changes. Okay, for example, you're getting more ambitious, or you are ambitious and you just want to, go for a different job, maybe in a different location. You don't care anymore. You're just making an application and we'll see how it goes. But it might go through, and while you're really happy that, it gives you a new space to grow and lots of new opportunities, and it pushes you in towards your dreams and aspirations, it can be a bit of a harsher for the relationships you have established already in the place that you are. Okay, so that's an example. The same day though, like I mentioned, there is a bright side. We have a trine aspect with Mars and Uranus in the sign of Virgo and Taurus. So once again, your 11th house and your 7th house are being lit up. This is quite social energy. There can again be many conversations you're having, or lots of activities going on connected to your friendship circle or your networking spaces. Also, this can talk about your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. You're making some strides forward. You're taking action in that direction. So you're feeling pretty bold in that way. But once again, Mars is in Virgo, so it's not going to be like too rash. I'm not too worried about that. But it can be like one after the other. You're just completely, you're constantly moving forward in that way. It can also be that people you are connected with one-on-one, they can give you some useful advice or just some nice ideas for you to go off on. On the 21st, we have another favorable aspect between the Sun in Leo with the North Node in Aries. So this connects with your 6th house Aries and your 10th house Leo. This talks about increasing reputation based on your work ethic. So any projects you're working on, and this even goes for, other people are looking at your work who are more of your peer group, and they can be looking to you for guidance, or they're seeing that you are growing and expanding, and that, you're enjoying your work, you're putting passion and willpower into things. You are a generally passionate sign, so any activation with Leo as well can spur that passion even more. And especially this is a fire trine, so anything connected with your energy levels or your endeavors, your pursuits, these things are likely going to be quite blessed. On the next day, on the 22nd, we have a square between Venus in Leo with Jupiter in Taurus, and Venus is retrograde at this time. It brings back the focus between your 10th house and your 7th house. So while you're reconsidering things, you might also be getting more encouragement with the things that you have going on. So the company where you're in, let's take that example. The company you're in, it keeps praising you and you're happy about that, but at the same time you're like, something is off, something is missing, and I would like to make a bit of a change, but I don't quite know where or how. All right, so this square can lead to overindulgence or overdoing. It can also be overpromising and under-delivering because of various reasons. It's different for everybody, but that can be a case which is the downside. But the upside is that it is still a benefic square. I mean, Venus is benefic, Jupiter is benefic, and Leo, Taurus, they are both very generous. So it's just that the hard work will be rewarding, but you might have to wait a little bit for that. The same day, we have an opposition between Mars in Virgo with Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is retrograde. So there is realism in your dreams and the creativity you're having, the intuition that's coming through for your life path or for your, what would bring you joy, purpose, and expansion. And you are taking action based on that, okay? But it is more detail oriented at this time rather than intuitive. So if you're trying to incorporate lots of intuitive, compassing of where you should go next and all of that, might be a little bit blurry because Neptune is more intuitive when it is direct. But you can really bank on the realism that comes here. So take note and organize your space, or talk with, people who are more oriented in whichever field you want to go in, or how you want to pursue your dreams. Let's say you have a creative hobby, but you don't really know what to do with it. And normally when Neptune is direct, you're happily creating your crafts and you're doing your hobbies and all of that. But when it goes retrograde, you might wonder, okay, so what do I do with this? I've made a lot of things. Now, what do I do with that? That's when the opposition with Mars can be quite helpful, because it gives you a channel to funnel these ideas or take them forward in a different manner. On the next day, 23rd, the zodiac season shifts. The sun moves from Leo into Virgo, and it is Virgo season. And again, this is bringing focus away from your career reputation and status and into your social life. So networking more, collaborating, promoting your craft and yourself, whatever it is you do, just broadening your, aspirations, or following on those bucket list ideas and things like that can come up. But the same day, Mercury goes retrograde in this sign, so there might be some rethinking of these aspirations, reconnecting with friends who have become a little bit distant, and catching up, getting to know them a little bit more. So it's more low-key compared to the previous part of the month, but it definitely gives a lot more context and clarity. I like that the sun is there while Mercury is going retrograde, because of the same zodiac, there is still that light being shed. It's not as dark as it could be, or it's not as blurry and confusing as it could be. On the 25th, we have a trine between Mars in Virgo with Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto is retrograde. So this lights up your 11th house and your 3rd house. There can be conversations, connections, your number or your contact getting passed around, a word of mouth, things like that can happen. Because it's a trine, it's a favorable sharing of information. It's not something creepy, so that's nice. Also, this can be about making friends within your community or your co-working space. Maybe some projects are coming about that's quite inspiring, and it can be transformative for your mindset. But it can also be that you are shifting any fears and transmuting them, connected to what you want to be following for the sake of fulfillment in life. Okay. 27th, we have another opposition between the Sun in Virgo with Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is retrograde. So there might be some changes happening in your creative style or your self-expression. Now, this creativity, self-expression can be swapped for child, inner child, if that is more relevant for you. So this is giving, again, clarity coming in from the Sun about what needs to change or what is changing at this time, giving more context and putting us more in that authority position. But on the flip side, if we look at two different authorities for Sun and Saturn, then it is as though someone else in your friend circle or your networking space or your institution, organization, they could be giving some type of advice, or they're in the spotlight in some way, and you are in the position to learn from them. Okay, now this opposition is in a favorable aspect to Scorpio. Okay, so this is going to be beneficial for you. You can learn from them, you can adjust your style. It's like a nice tip, or good to know, good to observe and understand. All right, same day we have Mars moving away from Virgo into Libra, so this activates your 12th house. Now here already Mars in Libra is not in its strongest position because it rules you, Scorpio, and also Aries primarily. So Libra is right opposite Aries, and it's absolutely not its game. But where it can be quite beneficial is if you practice this for diplomacy, finding more creative spirit or spark. If there has been a lack of inspiration, this is where it reinvigorates. And also trying to find balance, equality, trying to understand the two sides of the story. It is also about resolving inner conflicts, external conflicts, whichever one is going on for you. It has a keen eye for art and design and is able to, translate that in the outside world. Okay, so these are some nice ways to channel it. And also because it's in the 12th house, if you spend more time trying to recuperate or, making a conscious effort to rest, relax after every single day or as frequently as possible, that is going to be quite beneficial. Because Mars here can sometimes be as though, your willpower is dimming, or you don't feel that energetic and you're just like going about things. When someone needs you, you'll be there, but otherwise, what's the point? Something like that, where willpower is not really the strongest thing. But the 12th house is pretty surprising. You might be pleasantly surprised because the reflexes are actually quite strong in the 12th house. Okay, so whenever someone needs you or something needs you, an opportunity calls you, you can work towards that, and that's where it is most activated. I was getting some other meaning, but I think I will come back to that if it is... Oh, yes, I remember. Okay, so working behind the scenes on anything related to these topics that I mentioned is also going to work in your favor. Okay, 29th, we have Uranus in Taurus going retrograde, and that is in your 7th house. So no more shocks, surprises, and unexpected developments related to your partnership or relationship. So if you're looking for a spark and that, electricity, that might be hard to find here, but it is more about establishing things and kind of going off on the spark that has already been developed and trying to, stabilize that, understand each other deeper. And it's still, Uranus is still changing your worldview or changing your attitude and the way that you connect with others. But it is going to be more on, let's follow up with the connections we've made so far and let's understand them deeper so that we change the way we relate to them. Okay. On the 31st, we again have a full moon, and this one is in Pisces. So the moon is in Pisces in your 5th house and the sun is in Virgo in your 11th house. This again is lining up favorably for you, and this can talk about, let's see the chart for a moment. The Pisces full moon. All right, so of course completion, release, and pivot, that corresponds with full moons, but also because it's a watery full moon and you are a water sign as well, your emotions and intuition are going to be higher than usual around this time. If you want to manifest something related to your love life, dating life, children, healing of the inner child, or just healing in general, this would be a nice moon to do that. Okay, so one thing that I'm like question mark about is the moon is connected with Saturn at this time. Okay, so moon and Saturn can be feeling a little bit isolated. even if like people are around, you might still feel a little bit lonely or alone. But again, this is in a favorable aspect to you though, so there is like a purpose or something good comes out of it. And when you're alone, you have these profound insights or things like that. That's when it would shift into a favorable, direction. But yes, if you're not having that alone time and you're not taking the opportunity to look inward or something like that, because of whatever circumstances, you might feel a little bit like, okay, I really need some space to me. I need to make some time to connect with myself or connect with my loved ones, my children, things like that. That can be an urge. And like I mentioned, the emotions are going to be heightened, so you just will feel that a little bit extra compared to the other days. So if you can, spend time, doing what you enjoy, spend time with your loved ones and all of that. And it can quickly turn into something wonderful. The sun is also trining with Jupiter around this time. So there is absolutely a chance that you feel this sense of expansion and wisdom coming in as well. A conversation with your loved ones as well can be quite fulfilling. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for being here. I really hope you enjoyed and that the messages help you out throughout the month. Stay tuned for the tarot reading as well. I will be uploading them soon. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified whenever that's up. And if you enjoyed the reading, please do like and comment your thoughts if you have any. It will be really lovely to hear back from you, and it really helps the channel grow as well. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.